No one talks about the real Scotland. Not the tourist version, but the strange, hidden, and sometimes unbelievable reality behind it. A country where ancient stones are older than pyramids, where weather changes in minutes, and where science changed the world with a cloned animal. These are 21 facts about Scotland that most people have never heard, and once you do, you won't see the country the same way again. A nation of islands. Scotland is often imagined as castles, kilts, and misty hills, but one of its most remarkable features is how fragmented it is by sea. The country has more than 900 islands scattered off its coasts, stretching from the Inner and Outer Hebrides to Orkney and Shetland. Only around 118 of those islands are inhabited, which gives Scotland a strange and fascinating rhythm. Large parts of the nation feel busy and modern, while others seem to exist in a different century altogether. Some islands are linked by ferries and causeways, while others remain remote enough to feel like the edge of the world. This island geography has shaped everything from local dialects and music to food, transport, and identity. In practical terms, it also means Scotland is not just one landscape, but many. That is exactly what makes it visually rich and perfect for a travel documentary. The unicorn as a national symbol. It sounds like a joke at first, but Scotland's official national animal is the unicorn. This choice goes back centuries and is rooted in medieval symbolism, where the unicorn represented purity, power, and an untamable spirit. Scottish kings adopted the creature as a symbol of strength and independence, often depicting it in chains, which may seem strange until you realize it was believed only a king could control such a wild and powerful beast. You can still see unicorns carved into stone across castles, coats of arms, and government buildings throughout the country. Perhaps the most famous example appears in the Royal Coat of Arms of the United Kingdom, where a chained Scottish unicorn stands opposite the English lion. It is a perfect metaphor for Scotland itself. Proud, mythical in reputation, and historically resistant to outside control. The world's shortest flight. Between the islands of Westray and Papa Westray in Scotland's Orkney archipelago operates what is widely recognized as the shortest scheduled commercial flight in the world. The journey covers just about 1.7 miles, and under ideal weather conditions, it can take as little as 47 seconds from takeoff to landing. Even in normal conditions, the flight rarely exceeds a couple of minutes, making it shorter than most airport security queues. Despite its brevity, this route is not a novelty, but a practical lifeline for local residents, transporting people, mail, and essential supplies between islands that would otherwise rely on slower sea travel. The flight highlights how geography dictates daily life in Scotland's remote regions, where even the simplest commute can look extraordinary. It is a perfect example of how necessity, not tourism, often creates the most fascinating stories. A land of endless lochs. Scotland is famous for its dramatic landscapes, and one of its most defining features is the sheer number of freshwater lochs scattered across the country. There are more than 30,000 lochs in Scotland, ranging from small, quiet bodies of water hidden in the Highlands to vast, deep expanses that dominate entire regions. These lochs were largely formed during the last ice age, when massive glaciers carved out valleys that later filled with water as the ice retreated. Beyond their beauty, they play a crucial role in Scotland's ecosystem, providing drinking water, supporting wildlife, and shaping local climates. Many lochs are surrounded by steep hills and misty forests, creating a cinematic atmosphere that has been used in countless films and documentaries. In practical terms, they also influence settlement patterns, as communities often developed around these reliable water sources. It is no exaggeration to say that Scotland's identity is inseparable from its lochs. The mystery of Loch Ness. Few places in the world have turned a legend into a global phenomenon quite like Loch Ness. This deep, dark, freshwater loch in the Scottish Highlands is famously linked to the story of a mysterious creature known as the Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie. Reports of sightings date back over 1,000 years, with one of the earliest accounts recorded in early medieval writings. In modern times, the legend truly exploded in the 20th century, when photographs and eyewitness stories captured international attention. While no scientific evidence has ever confirmed the creature's existence, that has not stopped millions of visitors from flocking to the area each year. The loch itself is vast and incredibly deep, which only adds to the intrigue as its dark waters limit visibility and fuel imagination. Whether myth or marketing miracle, Loch Ness remains one of Scotland's most powerful storytelling assets, proving that sometimes mystery is more valuable than truth. A castle on a volcano. Rising dramatically above the city's skyline, Edinburgh Castle stands on top of an extinct volcanic rock formation known as Castle Rock. This natural fortress was formed hundreds of millions of years ago through volcanic activity and later shaped by glaciers during the Ice Age, leaving behind a steep, defensible cliff. It is no coincidence that people chose this location for settlement and defense, as the elevated position offers commanding views over the surrounding landscape. For centuries, the castle served as a royal residence, military stronghold, and symbol of power in Scotland. Today, it remains one of the most visited landmarks in the country, attracting millions of visitors every year. The combination of raw geological force and human history gives the site a unique presence, where nature and architecture blend seamlessly. It is one of those rare places where you can literally stand on ancient volcanic history while looking out over a modern capital city. A nation of castles. Scotland is often described as the land of castles, and that reputation is well earned. There are over 2,000 castles scattered across the country, ranging from grand royal fortresses to small ruined towers standing alone in remote landscapes. These structures were built over many centuries for defense, residence, and status, reflecting the turbulent history of clans, invasions, and political struggles. Some castles, like those in the Highlands, were designed to withstand sieges, while others in more peaceful regions focused on comfort and display. Today, many have been restored and opened to the public, while others remain atmospheric ruins slowly reclaimed by nature. This incredible density of castles means that no matter where you travel in Scotland, you are rarely far from one. They are not just historical monuments, but visual anchors of the country's identity, making them perfect subjects for cinematic storytelling and travel content. The birthplace of golf. Scotland is widely recognized as the birthplace of modern golf, a sport that has since spread across the entire world. The game, as we know it, began to take shape on the country's natural coastal landscapes, particularly on sandy, grassy terrain known as Linksland. One of the most famous locations is St. Andrews, often called the home of golf, where the sport has been played for hundreds of years. Early versions of the game were so popular that Scottish rulers once attempted to ban it, fearing it distracted soldiers from military training. Over time, however, golf became a defining part of national culture and tradition. Today, Scotland remains a global pilgrimage site for golf enthusiasts, offering courses that combine history, challenging terrain, and dramatic scenery. It is a rare example of a sport that grew directly out of the natural environment and still reflects it today. The strength of the Highland Games. The Highland Games are one of Scotland's most visually striking and culturally rich traditions, combining athletic competition with centuries-old customs. These events take place across the country, especially during the summer months, and feature unique contests such as caber tossing, where competitors lift and flip a large wooden log end over end. Other events include hammer throwing, stone put, and tug of war, all rooted in tests of strength once valued by Highland clans. Beyond the physical contests, the games are also a celebration of music, dance, and identity, with bagpipe performances and traditional Highland dancing playing a central role. Participants often wear kilts representing their clan heritage, adding a strong visual and historical dimension. Today, the Highland Games attract both locals and international visitors, serving as a living link between Scotland's past and present in a way few traditions can match. The global power of Scotch whisky. Scotland is responsible for producing the vast majority of the world's Scotch whisky, a spirit so tightly regulated that it must be made and matured in Scotland to carry the name. The industry is deeply rooted in tradition, with many distilleries operating for over a century, passing down techniques through generations. Whisky production is divided into distinct regions, such as Speyside, Islay, and the Highlands, each known for its own flavor profile, from smoky and peaty to smooth and fruity. The process itself is highly controlled, requiring the spirit to be aged in oak barrels for at least 3 years, though many are matured far longer. Beyond its cultural importance, whisky is also a major economic driver, generating billions of dollars in exports annually. It is one of Scotland's most recognized global products, combining craftsmanship, geography, and history into a single glass. The highest peak in the United Kingdom. Towering above the Scottish Highlands, Ben Nevis is the highest mountain in the United Kingdom, reaching a height of approximately 4,413 feet. Located near the town of Fort William, it attracts hundreds of thousands of hikers each year, ranging from casual walkers to experienced climbers. Despite its popularity, the mountain is known for rapidly changing weather conditions, where clear skies can quickly turn into dense fog, strong winds, or heavy rain. This unpredictability makes it both exciting and potentially dangerous, especially for those who underestimate its challenges. The summit itself was once home to a weather observatory, which operated in the late 19th century to study extreme conditions. Today, climbing Ben Nevis is considered a rite of passage for outdoor enthusiasts visiting Scotland, offering breathtaking views and a direct connection to the country's rugged natural beauty. A coastline that defies scale. Scotland's coastline is far more extensive than most people realize, stretching over 11,000 miles when all mainland shores and islands are included. This makes it longer than the combined coastlines of England and Wales, despite Scotland being smaller in land area. The reason lies in its highly irregular shape, filled with deep-sea inlets, narrow peninsulas, and hundreds of scattered islands. These coastal features were largely carved by ancient glaciers, leaving behind dramatic cliffs, hidden beaches, and natural harbors. Life along the coast has always been shaped by the sea, from fishing communities to trade routes that connected Scotland to the wider world. Today, the coastline offers some of the most breathtaking scenery in Europe, with constantly changing views that shift between rugged and serene. It is a reminder that in Scotland, the boundary between land and sea is anything but simple. Europe's dark sky haven. Scotland is home to some of the darkest skies in Europe, making it a prime destination for stargazing and astrophotography. In remote regions, such as Galloway Forest Park, officially designated as a dark sky park, light pollution is so minimal that thousands of stars become visible to the naked eye on a clear night. This level of darkness is increasingly rare in modern Europe, where urban expansion has brightened the night sky almost everywhere else. Under these conditions, visitors can clearly see the Milky Way stretching across the horizon, along with distant planets and meteor showers. During certain times of the year, even the northern lights can occasionally be observed from Scotland's northern regions. The experience is both humbling and powerful, offering a direct connection to the universe that is difficult to find elsewhere. It is one of those quiet, unforgettable aspects of Scotland that surprises those who only expect castles and rain. The bagpipes beyond Scotland. The bagpipes are one of the most iconic symbols associated with Scotland, yet their origins are far more complex than many people realize. Variations of the instrument existed long before they became linked to Scottish culture, with historical evidence suggesting early forms appeared in regions such as the Middle East and continental Europe. However, it was in Scotland that the instrument was refined, standardized, and elevated into a powerful cultural emblem. The great Highland bagpipe, in particular, became closely tied to clan traditions and military history, often used in battle to inspire troops and intimidate opponents. Over time, the sound of the pipes became inseparable from Scottish identity, especially during ceremonies, parades, and national events. Today, while their roots may be international, the bagpipes are unmistakably Scottish in spirit, proving that cultural symbols are often shaped more by adoption than origin. The Highland clearances. The Highland clearances were one of the most dramatic and transformative periods in Scottish history, fundamentally reshaping the social and physical landscape of the Highlands. Beginning in the late 18th century and continuing into the 19th century, thousands of people were forcibly removed from their homes by landowners seeking to replace traditional farming communities with more profitable sheep grazing. Entire villages were cleared, and many families were pushed to coastal areas, cities, or forced to emigrate overseas, particularly to North America and Australia. This mass displacement broke long-standing clan structures and left deep cultural scars that are still remembered today. The result was not only a demographic shift, but also a visible change in the land itself, as once inhabited glens became empty and quiet. It remains a powerful and often emotional chapter in Scotland's story, illustrating how economic decisions can alter a nation's identity for generations. Stones, older than the pyramids. Scotland is home to thousands of ancient standing stones, some of which date back over 5,000 years, making them older than the famous pyramids of Egypt. These mysterious monuments are scattered across the landscape, particularly in places like the Killinish stones on the Isle of Lewis. Built by Neolithic communities, their exact purpose is still debated, though many researchers believe they were used for rituals, ceremonies, or astronomical observations. Some align with the movements of the sun and moon, suggesting a deep understanding of the natural world. Standing among these stones today feels like stepping into a distant past where human life was closely tied to the rhythms of nature. Unlike many ancient sites elsewhere, these stones are often set in open, wild environments, adding to their atmosphere. They are a powerful reminder that Scotland's history stretches far beyond written records. The world's largest arts festival. Every summer, the city of Edinburgh transforms into the global centre of performance and creativity during the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, the largest arts festival in the world. What began in the mid-20th century as an unofficial alternative to a formal cultural event has grown into a massive celebration of theatre, comedy, music, and experimental performance. Thousands of artists from across the globe arrive to perform in hundreds of venues, ranging from traditional theatres to improvised stages in pubs and streets. The scale is difficult to grasp, with tens of thousands of performances taking place over just a few weeks. One of the most unique aspects of the festival is its open-access nature, meaning almost anyone can participate, leading to a mix of world-class acts and raw, emerging talent. This creates an unpredictable and energetic atmosphere that defines the event. It is not just a festival, but a full cultural takeover of an entire city. The birth of a cloned animal. Scotland made global scientific history in the late 20th century with the creation of Dolly the sheep, the world's first mammal cloned from an adult cell. This groundbreaking achievement took place at the Roslin Institute near Edinburgh and marked a major leap forward in genetic research. Unlike earlier cloning attempts using embryonic cells, Dolly was created using DNA from a fully developed adult sheep, proving that specialized cells could be reprogrammed. The announcement shocked the world and sparked intense debate about the ethical implications of cloning, including concerns about its potential use in humans. Scientifically, however, it opened new doors in medicine, agriculture, and biology, influencing research into stem cells and genetic engineering. Dolly lived for several years and became an international symbol of both scientific progress and ethical controversy. It remains one of Scotland's most unexpected contributions to modern science. 4 seasons in one day. Scotland's weather is famously unpredictable, to the point where locals often joke that you can experience all 4 seasons in a single day. This is not just a stereotype, but a real consequence of the country's geographical position and varied landscape. Situated between the Atlantic Ocean and the North Sea, Scotland is exposed to rapidly changing air masses that can shift conditions within hours. It is not unusual to start the day under clear blue skies, encounter heavy rain by midday, and see sunshine return by the afternoon, sometimes even accompanied by strong winds or sudden temperature drops. In the Highlands, these changes can be even more dramatic due to elevation and terrain. While this variability can be challenging, it also creates constantly changing scenery, with light and shadows transforming the landscape throughout the day. It is part of what gives Scotland its dynamic and cinematic character. A renewable energy powerhouse. Scotland has positioned itself as one of the leading regions in Europe when it comes to renewable energy, particularly in wind and tidal power. Thanks to its exposed coastline, strong Atlantic winds, and powerful ocean currents, the country has some of the best natural conditions in the world for generating clean energy. In recent years, renewable sources have produced a significant portion of Scotland's electricity, with wind energy playing a dominant role. Large offshore wind farms and experimental tidal projects are becoming increasingly common, especially around the northern and western coasts. This shift is not only environmentally driven, but also economically strategic, as it reduces dependence on fossil fuels and creates new industries. The landscape itself is changing, with modern turbines now standing alongside ancient hills and coastlines. Scotland's approach shows how a country can use its natural geography to build a more sustainable future. The right to roam. One of the most distinctive and progressive aspects of life in Scotland is the right to roam, a legal principle that allows the public to access most land and inland water, even if it is privately owned. Established under modern legislation in the early 21st century, this right gives people the freedom to walk, hike, cycle, and explore large parts of the countryside, provided they do so responsibly. This includes mountains, forests, fields, and even some coastal areas, creating an unusually open relationship between people and the land. The idea is rooted in a long tradition of outdoor access, but it is carefully balanced by a code of conduct that emphasizes respect for nature, property, and local communities. For visitors, it offers a rare opportunity to experience Scotland's landscapes without the usual restrictions found in many other countries. It reflects a national attitude that values shared space, responsibility, and connection to the natural world. Now you see it. Scotland is not just castles and whisky. It's a country full of strange, powerful, and often overlooked stories. And if this surprised you, imagine what we haven't covered yet. So here's the deal. Hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which country you want next. And if you think you already know your country well, wait until we break it down like this. I'll see you in the next one.